Hello and welcome to 8 ways to improve your time management skills in the next 30 days with me, your trainer for this session, Abigail Barnes. We are going to be hanging out for the next 45 minutes talking about 3 key areas. The first is how you can become more productive working from home. I am going to share 8 ways to help you improve your time management skills in the next 30 days. And then we are going to round off by talking about the 8-minute secret. Now, I know life is busy and pressure is on for all of us, but give yourself the gift of the next 45 minutes to concentrate on this training. And I promise you will hear exactly what it is that you need right now in your career or your life. And without the distractions, you will be able to hear it. So turn everything off, get a pen, get a notepad, and let's get going. Who am I? As I said, my name is Abigail Barnes. I'm an author of Time Management for Entrepreneurs. I'm also a consultant and an executive coach working with people on something called productive well-being, and I'm an international speaker talking about productivity, wellness, and life balance. I am the founder of Success by Design training, and working with clients such as the ones you see below these images, and speaking at events and for organizations listed below as well. But life wasn't always like this. Prior to starting my business 8 years ago, I worked in the financial sector for over 10 years for investment management, asset management, hedge funds, and even a high street bank. My life was the busy sort of hustle and bustle of a corporate executive, 50, 60-hour weeks. But really, I always wanted to run my own business. The funny thing was that I only saw photographs and images on Pinterest and websites like that. So I had absolutely no idea what somebody would do if they were running their own business. So every time this urge came up in me, I just got another job, took on another project, bought another handbag, went to another party, and did everything I could to try to make myself feel better about the fact that I wasn't really living the life that I wanted to be living, but I didn't have any other inspiration, plan, people around me who were doing it. So I just didn't know how to do it. Perhaps that is you. Perhaps you can identify with that. Perhaps depending on when you're watching this, if it's still 2020, perhaps this year's really made you think twice about what it is that you want from your life and how you're spending your time. Well, let me take you back to 8 years ago. Finally, my boss allowed me to go on a work business trip, and I was so excited because I was going to get to fly business class. Now, I had never flown business class before. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but this was an aspiration for me, way more than clothes, shoes, handbags, or parties. I just felt like that once I flew business class, that was it. My life was going to be made. So being given this opportunity to go to the US to represent my team and my company, I was so excited, and I really felt like I'd finally made it. So I arrived at Boston, Massachusetts General Airport, and I was greeted by my friend who lived in New York at the time and had flown into Boston to spend the weekend with me. We were staying at her parents' house. We went to her parents' house for dinner, had a lovely dinner, went to bed, and then the next morning I woke up with a little bit of a headache. And that really wasn't to be unexpected, as we'd had a few glasses of wine the night before. And it being my first ever business class flight, I'd had a couple of drinks on the aeroplane as well. Needless to say, though, 24 hours after arriving in the States, in America, I actually found myself in hospital, being woken up by a doctor telling me that the headache that had come on the Saturday morning actually wasn't just a headache, it was a stroke. So at the age of 32, in a foreign country, on a work business trip, I almost died. And it was at this moment in time when I had sort of a realization within myself that, first of all, I wasn't ready to die. I hadn't lived my life. And second of all, I realized that time is our most valuable commodity. And I really had been squandering mine and thinking that I could just do it tomorrow. There'd always be another day. And this situation, if you like, helped to really solidify for me that there might not be another day. So this became my sort of rock bottom, if you like, where I then was able to start to build the new life that I wanted to be living. Let's call this my 2012 reset, because it happened in 2012, 25th of February 2012. And that day was when I realized that our time is our most valuable commodity and that we really need to own our 24 hours. So I share my story with you to impress upon you the importance of time, and that while we're talking about this training, or while we're going through this training for the next 45 minutes, please sort of have in the back of your mind that you never know what's around the corner, and that is sort of never been more prevalent than this year. A lot of people are finding that 2020, the year that the world has changed, has become the year that they are ready to reset their life. And maybe that sort of is you also. So as we go through this training, I'm going to share with you, as I said, these 8 things that you can do to help you become a more confident time manager and more confident when it comes to working from home. 8 ways to improve your time management in the next 30 days. Starting with number 1. Okay, we get it. Life is busy. Now, whether you're a mother, a father, a partner, you've got pets, you've got responsibilities, you've got family, everybody has got a different situation going on, but fundamentally life is busy. And perhaps you can identify with one of the following. You're juggling a lot of responsibilities. There's never enough time to get it all done. Maybe 2020 has made you hyper aware of what's not working anymore and what you want more of. Perhaps most days you feel anxious and overwhelmed. And it might be that you have no work-life balance and that life is really relentless. Let me talk to you about something that I, through the Business Success by Design training, on a mission to spread around the world. So the 888 formula is how to break up a 24-hour day based on 3 pillars. The first pillar is based on science. Now, science says that us as humans, our body needs to rest between between 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. So let's call that 8. And rest also includes other things other than sleeping. The other pillar is work. So society has sort of a stipulation that work should be an 8-hour day. So if you are good at maths, you will have already cottoned on that 8 times 3 is 24. That means that the middle pillar of this 888 formula is your life, is all of the activities that make up your life. And we call that middle 8 the jam in the 888 sandwich. At this stage, I have to stress that everybody's formula is different. So everybody is going to need a different amount of rest, and they are going to be working a different number of hours, and then they will have left a different amount of time for their life. So this isn't to get you to create the formula of 888. This is to help you identify quite quickly what your formula is and what you would like your formula to be. Because when you have the formula that you want, where these three areas bisect, you will have joy. And I don't know about you, but I would quite like to enjoy my life every day. So when my three areas of life are more in balance, I feel more joyful. And we share the formula to help people to quite quickly identify where they feel out of balance in their life. So perhaps you will be able to do that with the formula looking at it. The second thing to talk about is your current reality. Now, let's get all the cards out on the table. This hasn't been an ideal situation for anybody. Most of us have had to make areas within our homes, within our flats, within our houses, sharing bedrooms, working from kitchen tables, perhaps working from bed. Maybe you're lucky enough to work from the garden. Some people are finding themselves working on the kitchen floor, working at the kitchen table. The reality hasn't been great, but we have had to work out a way to overcome this. Maybe you're working where you can. Perhaps you're working in your bedroom, you're working on your bed, or perhaps you find yourself juggling it all and you are managing your career, you're managing your pets, you're managing your partner, you're managing your family, your children, and you're sort of really finding yourself juggling it all. So the current reality is far from the actual reality that you would like to have. We did a training a while back for 3 ways to avoid distraction and remain focused working from home. And in this training, I shared 3 tips, 3 strategies, and one of these strategies is sort of an app that you can download to your phone to help you. So I would highly recommend that you check out that free training on our website, successbydesigntraining.com, because we won't have time to cover that content today. But just know that if distractions and focus are a problem for you, there is a separate training on that. So here are some steps that I would recommend for you to make a note of when it comes to your current reality. Ask yourself this question: how could you improve your work setup? What could you do right now, today, to improve your work setup? Perhaps you could move furniture. Perhaps you could declutter an area. And I've not said house, because I know, you know, people maybe are not living in a house. Maybe you're living in a share flat. Maybe you're living in your own flat. Maybe you're sharing sort of your home living space with lots of other people. So space is going to be a problem, but obviously things aren't going back to normal, and they're not going back to normal as quickly as any of us would like. So it really is about taking some action steps and getting as organized as you possibly can. So the fourth thing I would say is, could you ask your organization for support? Perhaps they could get you a monitor. Perhaps you need a keyboard, a mouse, maybe an office chair or a headset. Just speak to somebody, speak to your manager, speak to somebody in HR, speak to somebody in the IT department, depending on what the structure is like in your company, and ask somebody for some help, for some support. Don't try to carry on any longer without the things that could make your work life easier. This has been going on in some countries for 6 months. It's been going on longer in other countries. It looks like it's going to carry on to the end of the year. Some companies till 2021, some it could be sort of an ongoing thing. So make sure that you are doing yourself a favor by creating a more positive workspace, and perhaps you want to create a dedicated area where it's possible, so that you in your head can start to see a certain part of your home as your work area. So if you're working from the sofa, it's very hard mentally to work from the sofa And then also see the sofa as a place that you relax. This is where people then suddenly start struggling with boundaries and also imposter syndrome, because people are not feeling professional if they're working from places where they aren't seeing themselves professionally, if that makes sense. A lot of this is psychological, and as I said, this is going on for a lot longer than any of us ever maybe contemplated that it could do. So see what you can do to make your current reality more livable in, and more sort of business oriented and then work oriented, so that you can start to separate things out, because most of us are working from where we live and living from where we work, and it can get a little bit confusing in your head, and lead to things like burnout and things like, as I said, imposter syndrome, and not feeling like you're any good at your job, because when you look at where you are, you don't feel professional. Perhaps this is you, the juggler life. So as I said, 1 minute you're juggling the home, next minute you're sort of cleaning, next minute you're sort of becoming the carer for your children, and all sorts is going on in our lives right now. And this can affect our time management, because we have something that is called residue. Residue sort of, I can't think of the other word. It's totally left my mind. But when we switch between tasks, the concept is that the task that we were previously doing is still in our mind. So it can be hard to switch from one thing to another. So here's 7 signs that you need to create new habits and routines. So the first one is if you have no idea where to start. So if you are struggling to know where to start, if you have a lack of focus and you are hopping around from task to task, if your productivity is low, which is leading to frustration, perhaps you have a lack of motivation, maybe you feel like you're always chasing your tail and that you're constantly overwhelmed. These are 7 signs that you need to do something differently, to create some new habits and some new routines that will help you become better at managing your time. So the 4th thing to say then is stop. Whatever you're doing, day in, day out, stop. Stop for a minute. Because it was Albert Einstein who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to get different results. So stop for a minute, and I want you to think back to what I've just said, the recommendations I've just made, look at the notes that you've just written down just for a couple of seconds, and highlight, maybe circle things that you are going to do as soon as this training has finished. Because nothing is going to change until you do. So let me share some more things with you, but it might be that you've already heard something that could be a game changer for you. Number 5 is we need to change the way we look at time. And we call this owning your 24-hour day. So what do you think you have in common with these 3 awesome women? What do you have in common with Oprah Winfrey, Arianna Huffington, and Beyonce? What have you got in common with them? You have the same 24 hours. Now, I know you don't have the same bank account. I know you don't have the same teams helping you run your business, run the house, run your day-to-day, do your work for you, support you in all of the things that they have people supporting them. I know you don't have all of that, but you do have the same 24 hours. And when you accept you have the same 24 hours as everybody, as all of the people around you, as the people that you work for, as the people that you work with, as the teams that you are within. You have the same 24 hours as your colleagues. This can be a game changer for you when you change your view of time, because we call this the BHR model: beliefs, habits, results. Our beliefs create our habits create our results. So we all have the same amount of time, but we don't have the same beliefs about time. So if we want anything to change, we need to change our beliefs. And if we keep the belief that they have things we don't have, then nothing will change. If we see the fact that they have the same 24 hours and have managed to create the lives they have, then that's a possibility that's also open to us. And when we live in possibility, then our lives can change. Because if they can learn these beliefs, we can learn these beliefs too. Which leads me on to number 6. I would like to invite you to suspend your disbelief. When it comes to time, when it comes to being a better time manager, more confident, I want you to suspend your disbelief that you're not, that you can't, that you haven't, that you never will. I want you to believe that it is possible, to believe that this could be you working from home. You could look and feel professional. Your setup could be how you want it to be. If your children are there, they could be able to self-entertain while you get on with what it is that you need to do. If you allow yourself to believe this, then things will change, because what we believe, we can achieve. If we believe we can't, it will become that self-fulfilling prophecy. So why not suspend your disbelief and believe that you can, and see what happens as a result of changing your beliefs. 7, the 7th thing to think about: auditing your time. Now, we have something that we do with our clients, which we call the time audit session, where we get them to track their time for 3 days. And then we meet up to discuss what that pattern is and how they can make changes to create a new pattern. And we encourage them to document every 30 minutes what they're doing. So what time they get up, what they're doing when they're getting up, when they take a shower, when they check their emails, when they have their breakfast, when they start working, literally documenting everything. Because when you can see it, then you can change it. When you don't know where your time is going, you can't change it. But if you document it, if you write it down, and you can do this yourself with a pen and a paper and sort of a timetable like this, you can create your own. You can start to make changes as a result of seeing where things are going. And then the 8th thing we're going to talk about today in this session, we call this the 8-minute secret. And the 8-minute secret is about self-care. So let me ask you, can you identify with any of these 3 signs that it's time for some self-care? Are you snappy, irritated, short-tempered, or drained? Are you struggling to find joy in the things that you usually love doing? Perhaps your productivity is low, maybe your efficiency is non-existent, and do you not really care about any of this at all? These are 3 signs that it's time for some self-care, and I am going to tell you about our 8-minute secret. Now, the 8-minute secret is all about something that we call protecting the asset. As I said to you at the start, I told you my story. I am so hyper aware of my health now as a result of what happened. My health, your health is quite literally your wealth. And protecting the asset is understanding that if we look after ourselves on a daily basis, then we are going to have more energy, more effort, more time, more uplifting feelings to be able to do the things that we need to get done. So when we're protecting the asset, we call this the 8 for me. So this is about doing an 8-minute activity for yourself every day, which people would call self-care. We have divided some activities into a 3-pillar approach, and these are activities that we recommend that people do on a daily basis. Doing one activity, so 8 minutes of an activity, or doing more than one, and doing them throughout the day. So the first pillar is movement, and activities that come under movement are something like walking, yoga, maybe an energizer class, a HIIT class, something like this. 8 minutes worth is all you need to do. The next thing is the mindset. So maybe you've heard of some of these: journaling, gratitude, reading, and then the final pillar is meditation. So we have a guided meditation and a sleep meditation. So each of these activities, we have got 8-minute training, or a downloadable PDF or an audio that you can plug and play and listen to this. And this is our 8-minute secret training, where we teach people about how to use these activities to help yourself to protect the asset. Obviously, some of these activities you can do for longer, but please bear in mind that it doesn't have to be more than 8 minutes, because some of us, as we said at the start, life is busy and we're juggling a huge multitude of things. And so 8 minutes is the secret, is the sweet spot, is the accessible way to get started, to protect the asset, to look after yourself. And meditation is an amazing way to get started. Now, I don't know if you're a meditator, if you've ever tried meditation, if you don't really understand it, if it doesn't work for you. Now, I was a real skeptic when it came to meditation. I didn't understand it. I didn't like it. I found it confusing because there were so many different ways. But let me explain meditation to you in the most simple way that I can. Meditation is literally about finding a way to stop your mind. And obviously we've got 8-minute meditations, but if you can stop your mind even for a minute, you will regenerate and rejuvenate your mind and your mindset. It doesn't have to be a complicated, long period of time, because the mind is like a computer, and you know what happens when your computer suddenly goes a bit haywire? If you turn it off and turn it back on again, quite quickly it will get back to its operating in the way that it was before. The other thing to say about meditation is that it comes up a lot in conversations with people I have, and they will say, but I meditated, but I've still got things to do after, so I don't really see the point, because It's not like meditating is going to get rid of my to-do list. I'm still going to have to do everything on the to-do list, so why should I bother? But what happens when you slow your mind down is it's almost like you're changing the gear. So if you're a driver of a car, you wouldn't carry on driving up a hill in first gear, trying to put your foot down, because it's the wrong gear to be in. When it comes to meditating, what it does is it allows you to slow your brain down, to slow your brain waves down for a certain amount of time, which then gives your brain more energy once you've meditated for as long as you can. So if you set yourself 8 minutes, but for most of that 8 minutes you were distracted, but for 30 seconds to a minute of it you weren't, you will have given your brain the reset it needs. And then with more practice, you can sort of silence your brain for longer. And this is all it is. It's practice. It's like the gym. We don't get a six-pack overnight. We don't get Michelle Obama arms from the first time we go to the gym. They come through practice, through repetition. And that's what meditation does. And it massively helps you to protect the asset. It's really about pressing the reset to make yourself a priority. As I said at the start, my reset came in 2012. A lot of people are finding 2020 is the year that they are resetting their life. They're resetting their priorities. They're resetting what makes them happy. They're recognizing what it is that they want to do. So make yourself a priority and reset your life. Some exciting news for you, depending when you are watching this. On the 6th of October, I'll be bringing back my show, the Productive Wellbeing Show, that I started at the beginning of the year, and it's being live streamed to Facebook and LinkedIn. I've had some amazing guests on the show, including the awesome Lucy Frazier a couple of times. The show will be coming back on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It will be 11 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. So hopefully wherever you are in the world, you will be able to catch one of those shows live or watch it on the replay. And excitingly, we're also talking about turning it into a podcast as well. And previous episodes of the show can be found on my YouTube channel. So if you search YouTube, Abigail Barnes, you should find the channel, and you will be able to, as I said, find episodes with Lucy, also find episodes with some other amazing rock stars that you all know, and subscribe to the channel so you get notified when videos go live as well. One final thing to say, if you've loved what we've been talking about today, I would absolutely love to see you in our free online groups. We've got one on Facebook, one on LinkedIn, depending where you hang out. All you need to do is use that short code link bit.ly 888 community and put that into the browser, and it will take you directly to those groups. And it's 888 community LI for LinkedIn. And we've got people from all over the world in those groups. And I also share lots of other tips, tricks, training, and all sorts in there. So I would love to see you. Now, it's not how you spend your time, it's what you are getting for the time you've spent. I would love you to take away from this session the sort of the view here that what are you getting? What kind of life are you having? Are you experiencing for the time that you are spending? And if you are unhappy, go back to some of the things that we've talked about and see what you can do to change. Have a think about this 888 formula. Are you getting enough rest? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you working too much? Do you have enough time for your life? Because in the activities pillar is everything. It's your relationships, it's your family time, it's your exercise time, it's your cooking your food, buying your food, making your food, cleaning up after yourselves. It's the washing, it's the life admin, it's sort of exercise, it's everything that isn't sleeping or working. So if you don't feel like you've got the life that you want, it really is about looking at where your time is going. And I would strongly advise you to do a time audit as well, because this will tell you so much about your life and about your time and where it's going. It has been amazing to hang out with you. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I also hang out on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. You can find me on those social platforms using A Barnes Author. If you've got any questions, you can email inquiries@successbydesigntraining.com, and I look forward to seeing you online and in person, hopefully very soon. But until then, stay safe, stay well, and keep washing your hands. Take care.